Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the International Symposium on Sustainable Engineering Education and Accreditation iS2E2A 2024. Before we begin our afternoon session, I would like to invite everyone to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Thank you. We are now ready to proceed with our third session, which will focus on the forum titled Enhancing Engineering Education to Foster Sustainability for integrating sustainability into engineering education and accreditation processes. To guide this important discussion, we are fortunate to have Engineer Dr. Gohlindi as our moderator. Please join me in welcoming Engineer Dr. Gohlindi to lead the forum. Please welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Dalia. Welcome everyone to this session, which is the highlights of today's event. Thank you for watching us live broadcast from University Technology Mara, Cawangan Pulau Pinang official YouTube channel and our Pengajian Kejuruteraan Awam Facebook channel. Let me introduce myself. My name is Goh Lindy. We are very honored to have three distinguished panelists with us today. Professor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias, retired Professor Dr. Hasman Shah Wijayan, and another one, retired Professor Engineer Dr. Siti Hawa Hamzah. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us today. Welcome everyone.
Thank you.
We will be discussing some interesting current issues related to sustainable engineering educations and accreditations with these three panelists we have in the house today. Before I move further on, let me briefly introduce to you our panelists of today. Professor Dr. Abdul Karim is currently served as a Distinguished Fellow at UniTen and University Malaya's Adjunct Professor. He is a former Professor of Food Technology at the School of Industrial Technology, University Science, Malaysia. He was also the former Director of the Centre of Development of Academic Excellence. He has received numerous awards throughout the year, just to name a few. Ministry of Higher Education's Malaysia's prestigious National Academic Award for Teaching, Malaysia's Rising Star 2015 Award, Malaysia Research Star Award for 4 consecutive years, and the world's most influential scientific minds by Climate Analytics. On the national level, he is also a master trainer for ACAP and a writer for Malaysia Education Blueprint 2015 to 2025 for higher educations. Okay. Let me introduce you our second panelist of today, retired Professor Dr. Hasman Shah. He had his doctorate in business administrations. He is a retired professor from University Technology Mara. During his tenure in a university, he also served as the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Quality Assurance. He had also held posts on Deputy Chief Executive Officer on the Quality Assurance of Malaysian Qualifications Agency (MQA) from 2015 to 2018, and also continues to serve as the Quality Assurance Expert for MQA. He has accessed more than 200 academic programs of higher education institutions at all levels for National Accreditation Board, Malaysia's Qualifications Agency, Madis Qualification Authority, Higher Education's Quality Assurance and Accreditation Council, Nepal, and National Agency for Academic Assessment and Accreditations at Timor-Leste. He is now served as technical expert on Asian Quality Assurance Framework for ACAD and appointed as Senior Asian Expert on Asian Qualifications Reference Framework by the ANZ FTA Economic Cooperations with Asians. Our next panelist, retired Professor Engineer Dr. Siti Hawa Hamzah. He's a retired professor in civil and structural engineering. He had hold past associate director in EAC. She had 33 years of teaching and academic experience, 20 years of experience managing engineering programs, accreditations experience in more than 185 programs, professional engineer assessments to more than 70 engineers, completed 21 research projects, authored 15 books in structural engineering, and has written more than 175 technical papers on educations and accreditations. She had also held posts of ETech Associate Director with the board, and she hold a jump professor from Malaysia Sarawak and a consultant at the Center of Biomedical Engineering, University of Cyberjaya. Welcome everyone here to our sessions here. So, distinguished panelists, esteemed delegates, and fellow attendees, let us begin our discourse today with a critical examinations of global standards and accreditations in engineering educations. As the world now becomes increasingly interconnected, it is imperative that the engineering programs worldwide adhere to consistent benchmarks of quality and competence. This issue will explore the role of international accreditation bodies in ensuring that engineering graduates possess the skills and knowledge necessary to address global challenges and contribute to sustainable development. So we will start with the first panelist of today, to discuss with us on the global challenges and the accreditation standards. Let us welcome, the first one, Dr. Hasman Shah. So Dr. Hasman, would you discuss, and what are the key challenges in ensuring global consistency and comparability in engineering standards and accreditation processes? Dr. Hasman, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Go. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sound check, and then okay, thank you for the question and also the opportunity. Let me start with a confession. I'm not an engineer, and I'm not directly involved in engineering accreditation and the like. Probably Prof. Siti Hawa would be able to talk directly to the very specific developments. But I'm rather curious observer of quality assurance globally. I try to follow as much as I can on what's happening in different regions, and of course with a particular interest how this may and can or should influence or impact the practice in our country and also in our region. So I will speak from that perspective or vantage point, if you like. So what are the challenges in terms of consistency and also comparability of engineering education and also accreditation across the globe? Engineering, like any other profession, is not insulated from the fact that we have very different traditions all over the world. Right, in US is a very laissez-faire market-based accreditation system. Europe has adopted a more central public agency type of accreditation systems historically, and more importantly since 1990, after the Bologna Convention came into being, it has become much more of a public authority. which takes care of accreditation. And that includes also all the professional bodies as well. And all over the world, we have different colonial influences and traditions, and we also follow these traditions from different parts of the world, whether it is American, Anglo-Saxon, Francophone, or Lusophone, the Portuguese colonies. So we tend to follow these things, and these regions and these traditions have got slightly different developments. You know, from the Washington Accord, this is a global accord to try and set some of the expected minimum standards for engineering graduates all over the world in order to help with mobility and also recognition across borders. You know that a large part of Europe is not in the accord, and large part of the world in terms of the countries are still outside the accord, and that definitely tells you there is still huge challenge in terms of achieving, consistency and compatibility in terms of standards and also in terms of accreditation processes. Now, having said that, even if the membership of these accords is small and others have not formally become signatories, nevertheless, many of them do on their own try and seek to achieve some level of compatibility with the global standards. So even if they're not signatories, the numbers are small. There is a lot of influence of these accords in terms of people, experts, academics, engineers are working across that spreads these standards and common practices far and wide beyond the number of signatories, which is about maybe about 25, I think, signatories to Washington Accord, for instance, and about 6 of them are provisional members. But the influence actually spreads beyond. So there is a wave, if you like, emanating from this accord and membership, going across many other regions that are not, and countries are not part of this accord yet, to influence the setting of standards and things like that. So that is already taking place. But there are definitely challenges because the regulatory environment in many different countries are not the same. And also the accreditation practices are not the same. Very close to home, Philippines is a good example. Professional bodies do not accredit academic programs. They only test and admit professionals who have gone through an academic programs to the practice. So they stay very much in terms of gatekeepers to the practice and leave the program and accreditation and so on and so forth to the market, to specific agencies, public and private ones to take care. So Philippines is one model which is different from the rest, especially in ASEAN. The rest in ASEAN, there is a mixture of accreditation and recognition, right, taking place very close to the similar to or very close to the Malaysian model. But all over the world you can find, especially the regions that have got different traditions with professional programs or professions. There's quite a bit of difference in terms of regulatory environments, the practices and the laws and the traditions that are developed that takes care of professional programs. Very diverse, and that of course poses a challenge when you want to try and establish comparability, right? What else? The education systems are also different. The way in which engineering education is being provided in US, it's a 4-year program, but it is 2 years general and 2 years they major. In Malaysia and in many other countries, it's an engineering program from the start, 3 to 4 years. UK uses 3 years. We have got 4-year program. So the education systems are also quite different in terms of how they deal with the curriculum. the volume of learning, the duration of learning, and the specifics of learning, and that of course also is a challenge when you are talking globally. When engineers move across borders, those come into play, and also accreditation processes are not the same all over the world. Ours under EAC has a very conservative, very strict regimen in terms of how you go about an accredit. Even among the Washington Accord members and Australia, our neighbor, much less so. There's a lot of flexibility given, even though they meet. They set and meet the same standards. There's a lot more flexibility. Ours is a little bit more on the conservative side, quite regimented in terms of the programs and the standards and how you meet the standards. And also, if you extend far beyond this to US and things like that, the accreditation processes are somewhat different in terms of duration, what they're looking for, membership of the accreditation panel, the relative issue of how much is prescribed and versus how much autonomy is given to the institutions to shape their curriculum and also produce engineers. And beyond that, it's just cultural, political, and also technological developments pose a lot of challenges to all professions, for that matter, including also engineering. And increasingly, the question is, while we want the standards to be comparable, how do we ensure that that you are producing engineers in different parts of the world that are adapted to your own situation in the region, Middle East, Africa. They do have different types of challenges, or maybe challenges at different levels of development. How does the curriculum actually, while maintaining comparability, common standards, also become very adaptive to the local requirements? India is a good example. While you have world-beating engineering curriculum and schools and standard, there's also a lot of very basic engineering that is done to help people with to solve problems in very creative and in very old-fashioned way, not always seeking to use modern technology, expensive resources, and so on and so forth. They're going back to ancient technology about how to maybe irrigate, how to ventilate. A lot of old systems are coming in. So in different regions, you find they are doing this. So there is some good in making sure that it is comparable, but at the same time, it doesn't become homogeneous. Some degree of heterogeneity in the curriculum, especially adapting to your own local challenges and levels of development, actually makes it much more effective. I think I'll leave it there for the moment, and then take it up in the Q&A and also from the other panels. Thank you, Dr. Go.
Thank you, Dr. Hausman. Yeah, I think the audience may have a lot of questions. Yeah, so audience, you may post your questions to all our panelists in our Facebook page or the YouTube page. Yeah, feel free to post any questions that maybe you have some queries about the sustainable educations, about accreditations. Just throw it all out. Yeah. Okay, now let us move on to our next issues that we are going to discuss today, which is related to sustainable engineering educations in developing countries. So for the next discussions of this issue, let us welcome Engineer Dr. Siti. Yeah. So now let us talk about sustainable engineering educations in developing countries. Yeah. We have to focus, let us shift our focus to the pressing needs of developing countries. We will have to delve into the topic of sustainable engineering, which in line with our symposium theme of today. So you see, in developing countries, Dr. Siti, we often face unique challenges in terms of infrastructure development and resource management. So how can these academic bodies need to strategize to equip our engineering and non-engineering programs in developing countries with the capacity to foster sustainable solutions and improve the quality of life in their population? So I hand over to you, how we could actually achieve this target with the limited resources and infrastructures that we have in the developing countries.
Thank you, Dr. Go, and to my colleagues, Prof. Karim and Prof. Azman. And first and foremost, I would like to thank Prof. Azman for making an insights of what is Washington Accord all about. And I believe most of our audience are fully aware of our existence in the Washington Accord and also in the two other accords. Just to echo Prof. Hasman's mention about the number of signatories that is still at a low number comparative to the number of countries that we have in the world, it is good to note that India, China, Indonesia, and Bangladesh are already on board of our Washington Accord. And by population, they are the most populous, country in the world. And if we give only about 1 to 2% ratio of their engineers, that would actually flood the market in terms of the number of engineers that can be produced. And even if you go further to the engineering technologies and the engineering technician, it can actually flood the market. Nevertheless, we realize engineering is the main agent of change for the development of any country. So therefore, engineering education is very important, and engineering skill set includes to solve problem and to develop solution. So we, in fact, are natural problem solver. For instance, at ITM, engineering education is started in the late 1960s, and our curriculum evolved with numerous curriculum reviews, and definitely we receive inputs from our stakeholders. So I became a faculty member in 1983 at ITM then. As a matter of fact, I was the third woman engineer in the civil engineering department who served as the faculty member. So back then, most of our seniors were foreign nationals, and they served the School of Engineering from Australia, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh, to name a few. And I am blessed and fortunate to be able to actually collaborate and cooperate with them in our team teaching. And I learn a lot from them because they bring in their rich experience and diverse background. So that would actually look into how we look into our limited resources and infrastructure as well. So they bring along their best practices in quality engineering education to ITM. So fast forward, now that Malaysia is a full signatory to the three accords under International Engineering Alliance, we are blessed because the founding members were from the developed countries, the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Ireland. So now we have 49 jurisdictions within 29 countries. And beginning the late 1990s, Malaysia has been championing the outcome-based education prior to getting on board IEA. We paved the way on OBE in Malaysia. So we learned a lot. We paved the way to trying to get on board IEA the soonest that we can. But we went through a process of 6 years provisional before we actually attained our Washington Accord status in 2009. So since then, Malaysia has actually been complying to the international standard in engineering education. Reason being because IEA has already established the graduate attributes and also professional competency for engineering education and engineering professionalism, which in that particular graduate attributes and professional qualification competency stipulated issues on environment and sustainability. So this is one of the major outcome that is crucial. And another outcome which is crucial is the engineer in society. So now they have already changed that to engineer in the world. So these are the, basically, I would say, the guidelines, the principle that all of the signatories has to follow. So in a way, to echo Prof. Hazman's discussion earlier on, we have a guideline of the GAPC that all of the signatories has to fulfill and has to properly map it. Even those countries who were the founding members, who may be actually slacking a bit in terms of the current GAPC, would still have to be on board this particular guideline. Otherwise, the review would reveal that they are not fulfilling the expectation of the GAPC. So the latest revision of the GAPC was approved in 2021, and definitely it includes the 17 SDGs, the United Nations 17 SDG goals. So the issue at hand is actually the limited resources and infrastructure. So we have learned from COVID-19 about limited resources and infrastructure, in which it forced us all to switch on to online teaching. We basically adapted and we adopted the best practices that have been shared by many. However, the question at hand, do we think the learning effectiveness has been compromised? Or is there any integrity being breached, especially during the final exam, that may actually warrant some form of issues with respect to quality education and even quality assurance? So the limited resources should be complemented with greater opportunities available on shared platforms, especially by the rich digital learning activities. And to ensure sustainability, all engineering education should practice sharing expensive infrastructure, for example, advanced laboratory equipment, or through work-based learning with the industries. With also the hybrid mode, sharing of lecture sessions can be done between few locations depending on the time difference. For example, Monash Malaysia and Monash Australia is doing the same. What they do is they have one lecture session for both programs in Malaysia and also in Australia. Even recently, in my recent periodic review to EC UK, we witnessed and we observed their accreditation decision meeting between UK, Malaysia, Turkey and Japan at ease by using the online platform. And that is doable. It's just that you need to have a proper planning. So in fact, if you have read recently, as early as 2026, the face-to-face lectures will no longer be part of courses in Australia. The first two universities that is going to go on board on it is the University of Adelaide and the University of South Australia. They are going to be the first, universities in the country to remove traditional classroom meetings. However, I should caution here in terms of engineering education, we still require face-to-face meetings. It cannot be done online, and the OEL, basically the open-ended laboratory, the practice-oriented components, the design exposure to professional practice, the project-based learning, the collaborative design project, it must be conducted face-to-face. Similarly, the industrial training and also the final year project. So in conclusion for this issue, every limitation is good, as we are naturally capable to solve the problem and to provide creative solution. That would be a good take for us to proceed. Thank you, Dr. Go.
Thank you, Dr. Siti Hawa. All right. We have some questions, but I will keep it until we finish with the next panelist, Okay. Next, I would like to invite Professor Abdul Karim, to discuss on the next issues. Prof. Karim, this morning on your keynote sessions, you mentioned some things on we have to break the traditional silos, in the universities. So in this segment, I would like to explore, I would like you to explore the opportunities and challenges of industry and academia collaborations in the context of sustainable engineering. You see, we have to bridge between the academia and industrial, and how can universities and these businesses work together to develop innovative solutions and cultivate a sustainable engineering workforce to achieve these sustainable development goals. Over to you, Prof. Karim.
Thank you, Dr. Go. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My fellow panelists and ladies and gentlemen, this morning I talk about think different because the issue of industry academia collaborations, we have been discussing this for ages, and yet how much this collaboration, meaningful and impactful collaboration, has happened. So to address this issue, I would like to use a case study to illustrate, to me, a very meaningful and impactful model that universities in Malaysia and all over the world can follow this model. And this actually taking universities academia collaboration in China. You see, I think when we talk about academia industry collaboration, we need to take more strategic and focused partnership, not just kind of very loose kind of collaboration on paper. So we have MOU, MOA, and maybe we can report in the MIRA report saying that we have some form of collaboration with industry and so on. But we don't have much to show in terms of the very impactful output and outcome from that collaboration. So this case study is actually the electric vehicle in China, EV industries in China. And we know very well now China is global leader in the EV industry. More than half of the EV cars on the road now all over the world actually come from China. So they are really leading. And I think the EV industry in China has seen a tremendous, staggering growth in sales. It was reported it increased by 82% in 2022 or 2023, and probably more. So how this happened? Basically, of course, this growth is supported by a combination of factors, multiple factors, the government policies, of course, and the vast domestic market in China, and significant investment in battery technology and infrastructure. But one of the important factors, if you read about how this EV industry in China really grow, is actually leveraging the universities, the partnership between the industry, the EV industries, and the university. So the industry actually give a lot of funding to the universities to focus on R&D research on EV technology, and especially battery technology. And there are many universities that have benefited from this funding, and they really focus their research to achieve a very clear goal, that is to develop a sustainable technology. So this under the SDG, of course, a sustainable technology, affordable for the car, so that the car is not very expensive. And by providing this funding, the research done by the university is really focused towards solving the problem and providing the best technology. So that's in terms of the R&D. And the outcome from this R&D is actually the development in battery technology, smart vehicle systems, and so on. And to me, this is a very good example of strategic partnership between the universities and the industry in terms of R&D. What about in terms of the curriculum, the engineering curriculum itself? And of course, the China university actually, especially the engineering program, they have increasingly focused on the electrical vehicle technologies program to equip the students with the necessary skills and knowledge. And this actually provide the necessary talents for the EV industries to support the growth and the development of to provide the necessary competent engineers to support the EV industries. Then other examples of this EV industry's growth in China is through the smart partnership, where they establish a partnership with leading EV manufacturers to work on joint projects, internships, and technology transfer initiative. So this collaboration not only enhance the educational experience of the students, but also provide companies with access to cutting-edge research and fresh ideas. And another thing is how this industry and academia collaboration is through innovation hubs. So some universities have created innovation hubs or incubators that support startup companies in the EV space. So this hub provides resources, mentorship, and funding opportunities, and foster an entrepreneurial ecosystem that encourages the development of new technologies and business models. So I think this case study, to me, illustrates very well one example of how we can make the smart partnership between the industry and academia, and to align our curriculum, our research to be more focused and more kind of strategic in terms of supporting the EV industry in China, and therefore supporting the SDG also indirectly. So that's so far for now that I can share a case study that illustrates this very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Karim. Now, before we move on to the next issues, I think we have some questions being posed by the audience. Yeah, so I pick up a few of them, and we shall discuss on the shall answer those questions first. Yeah. Okay, so since Professor Karim is on the screen now, okay, let me pick up the questions that has been asked related to this academic and industrial okay, there are so many questions here. Let me go through. The moderator would like to. All right, we have one question here. How can we address the challenges of intellectual property rights and knowledge transfer in industrial academia partnerships? This question is posed by Madam Rosia on the YouTube channel.
Okay, thank you. So how can we address the challenges of intellectual property rights and knowledge transfer in industry academia partnership? I get this question all the time, especially now with micro-credential and so on. Well, I think those are critical issues that can easily be addressed with our industry partners, because in partnership, of course, there are always certain part done by one partner and the other parts done by the other partner. So I think it's just a matter of agree on certain areas, especially in terms of the copyright issue. For example, I have experienced recently when the industry experts participates in become co-developers in micro-credential program. So they bring in their expertise and they bring in their kind of proprietary technology, proprietary materials, and develop the content of the micro-credential. So we need to work out in terms of the copyright. So this can be in the form of profit sharing and other form that is agreeable to both parties. So to me, it's not something difficult. It can be worked out easily and negotiate with the partners something that is accepted and agreeable to both parties. Yes, have to go. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Okay. Yes. Good. Okay. Let us move on to the next questions. Yeah. Okay.
ah,
Next question is addressed to Professor Dr. Siti Hawa by
okay.
Professor Dr. Cik Masna. Okay. She's
Mhm.
asking, yeah, in the morning sections, Prof. Karim has suggested an integration of sustainability in our curriculum. So we have a next questions for Prof. Siti Hawa, which is, let me read the questions, yeah. How can we effectively integrate seamlessly the sustainability principles into the engineering curriculum? Over to
Interesting.
you, Dr. Hawa.
Thank you, Prof. Mazna. So, issue on sustainability principles has actually been there ever since before even we embark on the 17 SDGs as part and parcel of our GAPC version 4. So it has been under PO number 7, I think, on environment and sustainability. We have from then even look into how does the curriculum look into the sustainability being addressed at the universities level. And for most of our engineering program, we would require our students to embark on a design project, and definitely sustainability issues is already covered under design project because engineers are the prime mover on sustainability and also environment. We are the problem solver, and we always would think what is the best and the most effective problem solving that we could actually provide in terms of our solution to all the engineering problems or to all the problems that we have in the world with respect to infrastructure development and even for the future development. Even when Prof. Karim did mention about the EV cars and how the support that is actually being given by the industry in China. And I think this is also happening in Korea and it's also happening in Japan. And I think if you look into Europe, Germany and even the United Kingdom is doing the same thing, and even in France, is just that we do not really get that kind of support system, the strong support system from our local industries. So definitely the political mindset would also have to look into what are the benefits that our in local industries would be getting if they are heavily involved in terms of our research and development, and also by having this kind of linkages. Because if you look in the programs that we have actually accredited, it is not really easy to conduct the WBL, where the work-based learning would require a committed program that is to be drafted between the university, between the program and the industry provider. And it cannot just be when you would have an MOU or MOA for just a year. The student would have to undergo a 4-year degree program or a 3-year diploma program, probably 2.5 years. And we need that kind of a commitment from the industry. And industry would also have to really take part and parcel of the process of delivery of the curriculum. So these issues in terms of sustainability would also have to look into the industry as well. And I think previously, the country was really hard hit by jurutera miskin, which it has been broadly amplified because basically there are solutions. And as we have already mentioned, we have 25 countries that is under our WA, and therefore by right all of our graduates should take up the mobility platform that we've already provide for in other countries. So we should not, if there is some economic problem in our country that we could not provide the jobs, so by right the sustainability of engineering education to just look into abroad and go and get a job abroad, and the nearest one would be, most lucrative is Singapore. And I think that's where we should, look into, because the fact that for all members who are subscribing to GAPC under IEA, we are free to move to all of this country. We are not just bogged down by to just have to find employment in Malaysia. We can also go to China by right, because China is also now on board. So in terms of sustainability, I think it's already there. It's just a matter of refining it and how we want to really address all the 17 SDGs that is actually stipulated in our GAPC version 4. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hawa. Okay, we will come back to SDG after this, yeah? Now, we have the next questions for Dr. Hasman, I think. How can we ensure that global accreditation standards are not too rigid, preventing innovations and flexibility in engineering education? I think this question suits Dr. Hasman, yeah? So let us welcome back Dr. Hasman. Kenapa?
Okay, now you're you were muted. We can't hear you.
Oh, okay. I was muted. I'm sorry about that. So I was talking about on the SDG, Dr. Siti. Yeah, just now you mentioned about the SDG. So you see, the climate change is one of the most pressing challenges in our time right now compared to maybe 1 or 2 decades ago. Yeah. So now climate change and engineering educations are very closely linked, especially in the context of the 17 SDG that provided by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Yeah. So my question is that how or what role can this interdisciplinary between engineering and other fields play in addressing these climate change challenges? And how can our engineering curricula incorporate SDG-based learning outcomes?
Okay. Now, the question at hand is, what is the role of the interdisciplinary collaboration, right? To start with, engineering profession has always been multidisciplinary. For example, in railway infrastructure, the civil engineers, the mechanical engineers, the electrical engineers will have to work in a team. And we also have the surveyors and the quantity surveyors coming in, right? And if you look into the aviation industry, the aircraft engineer must also be equipped with electronic, mechanical, material, mechatronic, and communication engineering knowledge. And they must also work closely with the pilots. So they must be able to communicate what is the way forward and how to solve the issues with respect to all the engineering forte to the non-engineers who are involved in that particular project or in a particular construction or even any infrastructure development. So most importantly, as previously mentioned, engineering is the agent of change, and engineering is also the key to development, right? So with engineering team, we will be the prime mover to the 17 SDGs. So, and when it is being actually included into our 17 SDGs, I mean into our GAPC version 4, the 17 SDGs is actually being expanded from just the environment and sustainability and also engineers and society to a wider platform to include all the other elements that when engineers are on board would be able to ensure that it's going to take place and we are going to address those issues. So with respect to incorporating it in the curriculum, the Board of Engineer Malaysia has since in the late 1990s subscribed to the GAPC, as already mentioned, that we have all those POs that is relevant to it. And we expect the university, when they are designing their curriculum, to address those particular POs, and they would have to actually show the teaching, learning, and assessment being conducted in order for that particular POs to be visible and to be attained. So if you look at the recent GAPC, the Graduate Attribute Professional Competency version 4, you can see that the recent revision is very structured. It is more structured, and the revision has actually embodied 11 graduate attributes, or what we call it as program outcome. It has now 9 WKs, which is knowledge profile, which include knowledge profile on ethics and also attitude. Prior to that, the 9th knowledge profile is actually the new addition that we actually put in the GAPC version 4. So it took into the cultural aspect. It also looked into the attitude and the way that we are designing our work, and the way that we operate our work must also be inclusive of all this cultural diversity. And we look into the problem solving. So we have actually enhanced some of the problem solving definition, and similarly to our engineering activities. So the recipe on interdisciplinary collaboration, has been crafted since then. It's just that probably we did not really amplify it, but in the GAPC version 4, now it is more inclusive, and it has actually been spelled out basically, and I will share to you some examples. Okay, first example that I will share with you is actually on PO number 8, which is on individual, and prior to this, it was individual and teamwork. Now we have include the word collaborative. So meaning that you are talking about interdisciplinary collaboration. And the definition says that to function effectively as an individual and as a member or leader in mention about diversity, an inclusive team in multidisciplinary. The word multidisciplinary is added on to it. And it also mentioned about face-to-face. It specifically mentioned about face-to-face. That means engineers must really go down to the ground. We cannot just go on a virtual mode. We have to go to the ground. We have to look for the problem with our own eyes and look into how it can be actually resolved. And you must also look into the way that whether it is in a remote and also in a distributed settings. So that alone is a mouthful of activities to be conducted under PO number 8, which is individual and collaborative teamwork. So we have others, for instance, like PO 10 on project management and finance, which also mentioned about the engineering management principles and economic decision in multidisciplinary environments. It does mention about multidisciplinary environment. So when we actually conduct our accreditation process and our accreditation review, we expect to see some of these issues on multidisciplinary is being addressed, probably through the PBL or through any kind of case study, or probably in any of the CSR work that you do. So if you put up a reflection paper in terms of the assessment that is to be graded or non-graded, we would expect that there is some evidence of multidisciplinary environments, multidisciplinary collaboration work is happening. And if you deep dive even further to the problem solving, you will see that in WP6, it defined as involve collaboration across engineering discipline, other fields. It does mention other fields. That means it's beyond, over and above engineering. You must go into the social science context. You must also go into the business context. And also with the diverse group or even stakeholders with widely varying needs. So all of this has been guided out in our GAPC version 4. So in the academic curriculum, multidisciplinary is always part of the learning menu. We have been doing this even before we embark on the GAPC earlier on. So it has been our learning menu. The accreditation standard stipulates the design projects to be of multidisciplinary in nature, and the exposure to professional practices to be incorporated in learning activities. And the most prominent will be the experience of undergoing internship or probably industrial training, because internship must be effectively structured to acquire the expected program outcomes. So multidisciplinary has actually been there. Collaboration has to be established further. And normally some of, I remember that when we do our integrated design project, we normally will work with the Faculty of Architecture. So now it is about time that you work over, with some other faculties as well, probably with the Faculty of Law, or probably with the Faculty of Environment, or even with the Faculty of Business. So in simple words, the GAPC version 4 2021 expected all engineering graduates are fully aware of their responsibilities in fulfilling the United Nations SDG goals. So the philosophy of any engineering design and purpose is always to uphold public health and safety. So that is already mentioned in Engineers Act. And we as the registered person, we know that Engineers Act ensures that only qualified individuals are allowed to practice, thus protecting the public safety and enhancing the quality of engineering services. So Malaysian law governs the registration, accreditation, and discipline of engineers in the nation. So with that, all of the engineering practice in Malaysia is actually regulated by the Board of Engineers Malaysia. So this is something that we must also look into from the legal point of view. So in conclusion for the issue, the impact of climate change are real. It is real. And the engineering education must look into solution and knowledge beyond the existing norm. So sharing of expertise and specialist knowledge within ASEAN countries and our IEA member, of whom the founding members are developed countries in the world, is the way forward to ensure sustainable collaborative networks. So BEM had made the right move by getting on board IEA, and we uphold quality assurance, though Prof. Azman called it rigid, and benchmark our engineering and engineering technology educational qualification to the Washington, Sydney, and Dublin Accords. So likewise, Institution of Engineers Malaysia is the signatory to the APEC and the IPR, which is the Professional Engineers Platform, Mobility Platform. So this platform and also the other two agreement, which we are hopeful that will be accepted as a full signatory into the ITA and 8, that is for the engineering technologies mobility and also the engineering technician mobility, all right, under the IEA platform as well in the upcoming June 2025 meeting. So worth to mention, the ASEAN engineering team also collaborated under the ASEAN Engineering Register. So within the ASEAN Federation of Engineering Organization. So as a final note, Malaysian engineering graduates and professionals are blessed. I would say we are very blessed. The reason being because though we may be sounded as rigid, we work closely to ensure our educational qualification and professional competence are equivalent and recognized in 41 jurisdictions within 29 countries in the world so far, and should increase by more, and another 10 ASEAN countries. So we should be thankful to the board and also to IEM for this mobility. Thank you, Dr. Go.
It's great to hear that, Dr. Siti. Yeah. Okay. So we move on to the next issues for the discussions this afternoon with Dr. Hasman. Yeah, welcome back, Dr. Hasman. Now, while you were away, there was a questions posted by our audience here, Madam Rosaini. How can we ensure that the global accreditation standards are not too rigid? Yeah, because we mentioned about rigid just now. Yeah, preventing innovations and flexibility in engineering educations. Yeah.
Okay, how can we ensure that? It is to look at some of the possibilities taking place in regions or in areas or in countries where it is far less rigid. Okay, to use, maybe that's not the right word, but to use, you can go very close to even to Australia. There are University of South Australia now brands its engineering program as sustainability driven. Yes, it's very easy to do SDG washing. A lot of universities, a lot of programs, not just engineering, a lot of them in the modern era do a lot of SDG washing. But you can see in amidst all this fairly superficial, embellishments of the curriculum and to some extent teaching or even research, you find those to really create a program which actually shifts the center of the curriculum to sustainability issues, like University of South Australia. They are going deep into greener materials, green chemistry, right? And talking about circular economy and specific engineering knowledge, both engineering and also non-engineering, that can help them take care of zero waste kind of technology and things like that. So they've selected areas and technologies where they have a showcase within the curriculum, and they're pushing it forward, and that actually can and is acceptable to Engineers Australia. But not sure that kind of curriculum innovation would sit nicely with, for example, the more conservative engineering accreditation standards, and they are all under Washington Accord. So they are not alien to this. They subsist within the Washington Accord. They conform to the similar common standards and things like that, which allows for this profession to understand each other and to work with each other and be mobile across. So there are programs that are taking on this, and I'm talking about these standards and things like that in terms of your theme, which is sustainability, right? And how SDG is being pushed forward. It's not enough to create awareness. Too many programs are just talking about awareness. We already passed that, and they should be talking about advocacy. From the academic standpoint, the curriculum standpoint, student projects and things like that, it should be creating advocacy. They should not be just, okay, be aware of climatic change and there are some of these technologies, and that's not good enough. That is SDG washing. Just to have a scent of SDG. That's not enough. for the curriculum need to be innovated so that you take sustainability or within that spectrum of sustainability, whatever you take, make it a central pillar of the curriculum. I mean, of course, it's an engineering curriculum, so you cannot run away from this, but make it a central pillar. Create an identity, create a proposition, value proposition that creates a particular type of engineers that the world needs. And to Siti's point, the engineers are also the solution to the climate crisis, but also remember the engineers also contributed to creating the crisis in the first place. So let's not absolve them of the guilt, along with many others, right? Politicians, economists, and everybody else has participated in creating the crisis. So that kind of innovation is necessary, and we can see not very too far from home. You can see that curriculum innovation is taking place more aggressively, and that actually fits into this sustainability. Not just innovation can be very broad in many areas, but talking about sustainability, there are already models where they're taking on sustainability very aggressively, and it is a central pillar of the curriculum. They're creating an identity, not a superficial brand, an identity, and saying that our program is actually deliberately designed and delivered and to create engineers or professionals that are already armed with all the tools to jump into that sector of our agenda, the SDG. They're already doing this, so that I think it's already happening elsewhere.
Yeah. So
it can happen elsewhere as well.
Yeah, you mentioned about on the economy just now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why not we just discuss something about the circular economies? Yeah, where the resources are very are reused, recycled. Yeah. So could you discuss the importance of the lifelong learning in this era of the rapid technology advancements in these sustainable priorities, so that we can incorporate into our educations? Okay. Dr. Hasman got disconnected again while we are at the peak of discussions today. Okay. We shall wait a few seconds for Dr. Hasman to reconnect back.
Yeah, I'm unmute already on my end.
Okay, Dr. Hasman, you are back.
Okay, so yeah, it's just something happening that it switched to mute. No, very quickly you asked me about circular economy. Yeah, I think in all fields of studies, this idea of circular economy is in some areas they are already introducing it, but like I said, in many cases it's not about just introducing it. Actually, it needs to develop a lot faster, a lot further as business models, right? As business models in the area of business, but even in engineering, things like that. What are the specific areas where technologies are available, already available, to ensure there will be you can actually benefit from and make a career out of the circular economy, zero waste. And I recently talking in Australia to some of the friends, and they're talking about how HP has gone completely zero waste. And they're looking for engineers who are trained in that particular area, not just broadly trained in electronics or mechanical engineering and things like that. They want them to focus deeply into a particular set of knowledge and skills, and also attitude that really looks at this as something maybe look like a niche for now, but circular economy is definitely going to ensure that we don't pump so much into the ocean, into the air, and into everywhere else, right? So if you can not just lean manufacturing, but manufacturing where effluents, we have a plan what to do with the effluents, not just store it for posterity, but we know how to use it or reuse it, and not just minimize it in other products, right? And many places are already exploring how to look at this as a gold mine. We dispose it off, we throw it away, we pollute everything around us. But how can we actually not just treat it, but actually use it to do something that can actually feed back into the economy? It's not enough to just to talk about it and then just expose students to into it, and actually taking showing them how there are careers to be made in this area. And I don't think we talk enough about the different careers that are available in the different areas for even engineers. For that matter, all the profession don't talk about it. It's still very narrow area, and students need to know that there are careers to be made in these areas. Then only they will begin to listen, and otherwise the career information is not actually coming through. But if you are looking at if you're looking at the horizon in terms of new businesses, new people are going into new technologies. A lot of these are coming in, and these are new career areas that these professions can actually look into and bring students on board. They need to see these things as not just passing fad or fashion and things like that, but real careers are being made and can be made out of this. Then it will sell with the students, engineers, doctors, any other professions for that matter. It will. Over to you, Dr. Go.
All right, thank you. Now we come to the next issue, which is the interesting issues, for Prof. Karim. Now we talk about AI nowadays. AI can do lots of things, lots of wonders. And now we can watch in movies. Where human create robots. The robots helps the human, but in the end, the robots conquer the world. Hopefully not, lah. Right? So, could you discuss, with us, the ethical implications in the AI, in the engineering and in the educations, and how can this AI be effectively integrated into the curricula, into enhance the teaching and learning, and prepare them for the future work?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Go. Well, AI is the in thing now, and I've been talking about AI, the tools we can use in teaching and learning, as well as other issues like the ethical issues. There's so much that we can talk about AI. That could be easily, another keynote, another presentation on that. Well, I think the AI is the cutting edge now, cutting edge technology that we can use and we can leverage the power of AI. It's a game changer to me. For example, recently DG Celcom, they have combined, right? They came to UniTen to discuss about the platform that they have now. I think a few universities already leverage the platform, the metaverse platform, and recently they came to UniTen. And I think it's a good time now for universities to leverage this platform offered by Celcom DG, because they have the platform, but they don't have the content. So this, to me, golden opportunity for us to leverage the power of the cutting edge power of AI, use the metaverse as a teaching and learning platform. So now, if you talk about global classroom, global citizenships, where students are able to collaborate not only with their fellow classmates in the same classroom, but also across different universities doing the same program. They can collaborate on a project, working together in the metaverse to discuss and to do the project together in the metaverse that is created for that particular project. So this the virtual reality, mixed reality, all this augmented reality and so on as part of the metaverse. If we learn how to use, how to leverage the power, it can really provide wonderful, fantastic, memorable learning experience for the students. They can collaborate together. They can work together in the team, and they can deliver a much better outcome compared to working with a small group within their own classroom. So this is where we can leverage the metaverse in that sense, the technology that we have now, so that now we can really create a real global classroom, realize the concept of global classroom by using all this technology. So when it comes to AI, I think we should go beyond using the tools, because that's what people are now focusing. But instead of just focusing on the tools and how we can use them to create lesson plan, assessment, and so on, we need to look at the bigger picture of how we can do something that previously not possible without AI. So again, I keep repeating this idea of think different. How now we can do something different by using AI, something that we couldn't do before. So something that can provide a much better learning experience for the students. They can help them to learn a concept by using the virtual environment, by using the simulated laboratory, simulated experiment, and so on. That is not possible to do it on site. For example, to visit, let's say, the oil rig to do. This for chemical engineering students, maybe for I don't know, maybe mechanical engineering students also. Maybe it's not possible for them to really learn about something in engineering principles or solving complex problem on site because of the risk factors, dangerous, and so on. So this is where we can create a metaverse. We can create a simulated environment, simulated experiment, laboratory, and so on, where they can work in a safe environment. They can make mistake in the safe environment. So this is something that probably we are not able to do it without the technology and without the AI. So that's one of the things. Other things about AI is the power of AI is actually with data, crunching numbers. So this is where we can leverage its data analytics capability, data analysis capability, and this can be used for a lot of things, for teaching and learning, for research, to teach for complex problem solving, to teach certain complex concept, and so on. So leveraging the power of AI in data analysis is another thing that I think still underutilized and not yet explored much. The other thing is using AI for personalized learning. I think this is something together with data analytics or learning analytics, we can leverage the power of AI to create personalized learning. So the concept of adaptive learning, moving from one size fits all to a more flexible and adaptive learning to cater the different learning pace, learning style of the students, especially in engineering, where some students can probably struggling with, they are not moving at the same pace with other students because they cannot, for some reasons, they cannot, they are quite slow and so on. So this is where personalized learning path using AI by utilizing the data analytics or learning analytics. That's one, to me, one of the many ways we can leverage the power of AI. Yeah, I can talk about this for hours, but I think maybe the final point that I want to highlight here is the collaborative nature of technology and AI, and also how we can redefine the way we do things. Because when we use technology, we don't want to use technology just to substitute for something that we do manually. For example, we use Microsoft Word to replace a typewriter. So that's substitution. But when we use AI, we want to use the power of AI in such a way that it kind of redefine the way we do things, and therefore adding great value to our teaching and learning. Okay, so I think probably Dr. Go, you mentioned also about ethics just now. Do you want me to address this issue of ethics as
Yeah,
well?
yeah. There are two audience asking the similar about the similar questions about the ethics of using AI, in the
Mhm.
teaching and learning. Yeah, this is a third question related to ethics also.
Okay, well,
So, you
there's
are
well, there's a quite we can elaborate and deliberate on this because there are many issues on this. For example, on data privacy concerns, using, for example, when we use technology like IoT um, technology to collect data, we using the sensors, the IoT. So sometimes this data can be collected without the person's knowing. So this is actually the intrusion, the privacy intrusion, collecting data without the knowledge, without the consent of the user. So there are some of the ethical concerns or issues that probably use the use of AI. Um, some of the points that people raise. Um, in the, another thing is actually the the bias, the way AI system is trained, the data bias can be also an issue. Um, for example, facial recognition technology. Facial recognition technology can actually be used or misused or abused. It can affect, probably it can discriminate certain minority groups. Um, I think I've seen cases in US, or was it in China, where people get arrested because of the AI system, the facial recognition system somehow made a wrong kind of wrong wrong decisions of recognizing someone as a criminal. So these are the things that, to me, still, these are early days of AI. I would say, in terms of the application for the commercial and for the masses. So I think it's a matter of time until all these issues of ethical concerns and so on can be addressed satisfactorily. But in meanwhile, I think we have to kind of bear with all the shortcomings of the AI in terms of the technology, in terms of the kind of ethical issues that we are facing. Yeah. So probably I will stop before I rambling too much, but probably I'll come back with the other question on this one, specific things on the ethical concerns and issues on using AI. Yeah, over to you, Dr. Go.
all right. Thank you. I think we come to almost at the end of the forums today. How time flies. Yeah, we have been together for almost 1.5 hours. Yeah, so let us bring on the screen all our panelists for today for the Q&A sessions. All right, so we have quite a few questions being posted through our two channels. Let us pick up some few questions for our panels. Okay, we have questions from Dr. Shahira Mansor. How can we ensure that engineering education prepare graduates for a future where sustainability and circular economy principles are essential for career success? I guess I hand over this to you, Dr. Hasman, because you speak about the circular economy just now.
Okay, the practical way to do this is talk about careers in these areas to students very early in their journey, right? About careers within circular economy, careers in terms of addressing sustainability issues, specific careers. I mean, we talk about, yeah, you're going to be engineers in different, you have a fourth category of engineers, things like that. That is not going to excite them, right? You need to open up specific areas where people are working, pushing the boundaries, and this there is a career to be made, and you're going to be quite impactful in terms of pushing boundaries. Unfortunately, in my travel to the many institutions, when we do review things like that, most career advising and most faculties and things like that, they have a very narrow view of what is ahead for the student. Very few. They don't talk about. Good example is doctors, medical education. There was one listing now that they could actually fit into 92 different areas. But what does faculties tell them? You be a doctor. That's all. Doctor. But there are 92 areas which requires medical education for you to make a contribution, to be gainfully employed. And I'm sure it is a similar story in all professions, including engineering.
True.
When you pick specific careers, successful examples, and feed this to students, it will excite their imagination. And lecturers, career advisors, and people need to look far and pick out these kind of examples. And there is an example in Thailand, they call it bamboo engineering. Yeah, I mean, how many students would bamboo engineering? I mean, if you start talking about, when I start reading about it, and you see there's so much of construction science, there's so much of nature, agriculture, sustainability, so many things are built into it. The guy was even talking about the strength, calculating the strength of this to carry weight, similar like different materials and things like that. And I don't think any engineering school is actually even gets close to any one of this. And I think the students need to hear this, see this, rather than just awareness, talking about this. Yes, we need to change the world, we need to save the world and things like that. That preaching is actually way past. We are at a time when you need to really turbocharge them, give them really excite imagination. There is something that can be done, is being done, and there is something for you to go into, and you can make an impact, change the world, right? Change the world. And of course, you want to change the world not on an angry stomach. You want to make sure that there's a career, that it can be gainfully employed, things like that. But this story has to be told to students when they start the journey, and unfortunately, we don't. So whether circular economy or things like that, this has to come very close to the students, very early in their journey, so that they can start imagining possibilities with their life and career. Right now, we are not happening. So if that can happen, that is a way to. So the curriculum is not just the 130 credits. It's everything that is experienced by the students when they are in a learning environment, right? And it can happen outside the classroom, outside the credit, outside the lesson, and things like that. But that shapes their decision as well, and as a professional, as they're moving forward, what they want to do. And I think that will play into what we call advocacy, not just awareness. Too many places are just talking about awareness, and then awareness just evaporates as they leave the class. Not even as they graduate. As they leave the class, it evaporates. It doesn't stick. So it has to be much more a stronger dosage called advocacy. The program must advocate them to become a change agent, not just make a general plea or an exhortation. No, that I think is not going to cut it anymore. So that would be my words to, if we can say some parting words for those in engineering education, colleagues, young lecturers and things like that. Excite the mind of these students with possibilities, right? Possibilities, and they will go ahead and do things that we never did. Okay.
Okay. All right.
That's the way I think to do it.
Okay. So we shall move on to the next questions that we have from
Dr.
the audience.
Dr. Go.
Yeah, sure.
Can
You want
I
to add up
just
anything?
Can I just
Yeah,
add
sure.
on? Yeah. Well, I wish what Pro Hasman said just now in terms of we should already pass the awareness part by now, and we should go now back to advocacy stage. Yeah, this morning I mentioned about this awareness, understanding, appreciation, penghayatan, and then translate that into action and practice. I wish that we have come to the stage where we start the advocacy already, you know. But I don't think so. I beg to differ with Pro Hasman. By and large,
Okay.
I think if we are being very sincere, we expect at the university level where we have the intellectual kind of environment where students, staff, academic staff, non-academic staff really can talk about SDG, can talk about sustainability, can talk about at least one or two of the SDG, of the 17 SDGs. But in a real fact, if we uh, if we go on the ground and just pick one or two students or talk to one or two colleagues over the coffee and so on, and just engage them in the SDG discussion or sustainable development or whatever, uh, I don't think we can get a very meaningful discussion.
Yeah.
So I was I want to be kind of honest here that I don't think the awareness is already there. It's not yet there, sadly, your Prosman. So
Yeah, exactly
so
my point, Prof. Karim. That it is just not there yet. It
yeah.
is
So
just
when we talk about integration of SDG into the curriculum, the infusion of the meaningful infusion of SDG into the curriculum, again, I don't think is there something that we can really be proud of, something that is really impactful. So I think we still have a long way to go in this part. That's all my personal opinion.
What say you, Dr. Hawa?
I tend to echo Prof. Karim, reason being because we are actually the receiving end. We receive students at the age of 18, 19, or
True.
20.
Mm.
For the first 17 years of their life, at least 4 years they're at home, or probably the 17 years they're at home. And the remaining 11 to 12 years they are in schools. So I think we cannot dismiss the issue of how are our schools addressing the SDGs issues. As simple as saving water.
Hmm.
That is the very simplest thing.
Yeah.
Even sometimes I'm having a tough time with my own grandchildren trying to ask them to save water. So that is a very basic fundamental at home, water. And we haven't gone beyond, the plastic waste and how are we going to recycle. And even when you are, using the lights at home. So these are the very basic fundamental issues on sustainability that is really crushing the world in terms of what we're having now. And and we are so proud of promoting the World Day, the Earth Hour and things like that for just that one day. Does it really touch the soul of every one of us that one day is not going to save a lot? And we've gone through COVID and we've seen what COVID had done to the world. We've seen some clean rivers, right? So that is just within of about a year of stopping not doing anything, and it can actually revive. But now we are everywhere and we are getting back on the business and business as usual, and everybody is trying to catch up for the lost time that we have lost during COVID. We fail to actually address the sustainability issue, and we have already learned, we've gone through the process. So we do not want nature to come back again and tell us, guys, you're not doing your work. You're not addressing the issue rightfully. And I think though we are the receiving end at the universities, or probably at the time when they are entering into their tertiary education, that doesn't mean that we cannot, still assist our future graduates who are going to be the future citizens of the world, because we are living. They are going to be the one who is going to continue the legacy. And they are the one who should be looking into all of these issues as well, because it's not going to be, settled within just a matter of 1 or 2 years, unless, as what we did during COVID, everything stopped. But that's not going to happen. So looking forward, how are we going to address this? I've already also shared with some of the universities that we must talk about these 17 SDGs in every class that we attend to. The first day of class, you just have to create that awareness. Then only we can get the advocacy. At least, hopefully, by the time when they are presenting their final year project, they will be able to really internalize, and they will be actually able to propose some measures on how to solve some problem based on the SDG work that they are going to research through their final year project or through their design work. So lecturers must also be, proactive in bringing up issues and case with respect to SDGs. We cannot be looking at, sorry to say about this, research that will end up as paper publication. This is not the time anymore for that. This is the time to really save the world, because we don't have much time. And the way that the disaster is coming in, we already have seen in the world. So we have to really work together, and definitely we should be able to solve the issue with God blessing, inshallah. Thank you.
I agree with that. I always tell whoever I meet, especially those students who coming to me saying that they can't do this, they can't do that. Right? I always tell them, every human being in the world, you play a role, small or big. It doesn't matter. Yeah, we have a role in this world. Yeah? Right. Actually, we have still quite a few questions. Yeah. Um, we have a comment here from our audience. Yeah. Madam Rosia. She mentions that it is true. The foundation for a sustainable future starts with early learning. Dr. Hawa really opened my eyes to the importance of starting early and making a real difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Since we need to catch up with the schedule, yeah. We will do the wrap up, yeah. So I would allow each of you to do a wrap up for 1 to 2 minutes, yeah. What's your advice, to the futures of our engineers in Malaysia or the academicians in the universities, yeah. So I start off with Prof. Karen. You have a 1 or 2 minutes to wrap up.
Thank you, Dr. Go. Well, I just want to maybe reiterate the point that I made during my keynote speech this morning, that when we talk about engineering education, we should now redefine perhaps or revisit the national philosophy of education, falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan. And in terms of the looking at or redefine the so-called attributes or the traits of the new breed of engineers in the context of SDG. And I talk about the the engineers that not only are highly competent in their technical subject matter, whether they are mechanical engineers, chemical engineers, and so on, but they are also highly competent also in the SDG, not only having awareness, understanding, but they will use that knowledge now in their practice. They will empathize. They will consider every aspect of the design in their design project. They will consider the long-term implication of whatever they are designing. to the implication to the planet, to the environment, to people. They want to make it affordable, accessible, address the issue of inclusiveness, address the issue of equality, and so on. So that's to me, I hope the next round of program review or curriculum review or any engineering program, I think we should go beyond just patching up the curriculum, adding new courses, eliminating courses, adding new elective, and so on, but go beyond that. How can we integrate SDG seamlessly into the curriculum? I think we need to go towards that direction. That's all. Thank you, Dr. Go.
Thank you, Dr. Karim, for your valuable insights. Over to you, Dr. Hawa. A minute or two to wrap up.
All right, thank you. Dr. Karim has rightly mentioned about to integrate the SDGs seamlessly into our curriculum. And I think we as educators, we should look into how we are going to assess the SDGs implementation. And probably we should not do away with too many final exams. It should be more of project-based and problem-based, because only through this kind of project-based and problem-based inclusivity to include all of the SDGs that is relevant to any project will be more meaningful, because you would be able to get the collaborative work to be done and in even the multidisciplinary platform. And to end the session, I would say that all of us have actually probably done, basically myself and Prof. Azman, we are retired. We basically have done most of the things that we could do. And I think we are passing the baton to Prof. Karim and our successors. So though we are in business, in the sense that we are still providing some lectures here and there, but then again, I think it is to your generation, Dr. Go, and the rest to actually carry on with the good duty, and also to be, the eye awakening platform for the rest, because the world need us and we need the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hawa. It has been a great discussion, yeah. But just a quick note, yeah, Dr. Hasman, a minute or two for you to wrap up.
Okay. Accreditation is a powerful tool. Can be a powerful tool of change, right? Accreditation bodies, many places are feared. Some places respected, but so accreditation bodies and accreditation standards can actually play a larger role in terms of putting SDG in a much more important place than is currently observed. Not in the periphery. Try to bring it to the center of the curriculum. So that is a SDG. But I think in terms of a lot of things currently being done, for example, I've not seen a PEO where they're actually looking at how the graduates have actually impacted in terms of sustainability in their careers.
Exactly.
They're still looking at, being successful in the profession, and they are in organizational status and things like that. They have not. So you're not monitoring. You want this, but are you looking down the line and see how many of your students are actually becoming agents of change in the role that you want them to play? And I think standards, accreditation bodies, the currently the OBE, the PEO, things like that can be tweaked to really give more life, more energy, more thrust to SDG, so that it doesn't exist in the periphery, embellishing the programs, but really something that takes hold of the program and becomes, something that can shape the graduates of the future, because in them lies the solution.
Yeah.
And on that note, thank you, Dr. Go.
Oh, Prof. Karim pun dah retire.
All right. Thank you, everyone. On behalf of the organizing committee, I am very happy and very honored to have three of you today in the house with us today to discuss on the several interesting issues. I guess if we have one whole day long, we could be discussing from morning till night. Now, we shall hope for the next sessions if we have chance. And I shall invite you all again. In our symposium. Again, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for your precious times together with us, with all the audience, with all the delegates today, having broadcastings live from our YouTube channel and our faculty's Facebook channels. Till we meet again, all the best. Take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you and take care, all of you.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Prof. Azman.
Bye.
Thank you, Prof. Karim. Thank you, Dr. Go.
Bye. Thank you,
Same,
Tawa.
Siti.
Thank you, Osman.
All
Bye.
right. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Go.
See
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you. I hand over to our Miss Dahlia for the closing ceremony. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Engineer Dr. Goh. On behalf of the organizing committee, iS2E2A 2024, I would like to extend a sincere thank you to Engineer Dr. Goh and our panelists for an engaging and insightful discussion. The knowledge and ideas shared here today will certainly contribute to advancing sustainability in our educational system. Ladies and gentlemen, as we draw our symposium to a close, it's time to recognize some outstanding contribution to our event with the Best Presenter and Best Paper Award. First, we will announce the Best Presenter Award. This award appreciates an individual whose presentation stood out for its clarity, engagement, and impact on the audience. The winner of the Best Presenter Award is Intan Shafika Saipul Bahri from Department of Civil Engineering and Surveying, Unitec Institute of Technology, Auckland, New Zealand. Congratulations. Next, we move on to the Best Paper Award. This award recognizes the paper that demonstrated exceptional quality in research, relevant to our theme, and potential for influencing future practice in sustainable engineering education. The winner of the Best Paper Award is Associate Professor Engineer Dr. Muhammad Shakri Muhammad Sharif and Professor Engineer Dr. Cik Mazna Maisa with the title of Continual Quality Improvement Contributing to Program Learning Outcome in Geotechnical Engineering course in Malaysia. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of the International Symposium on Sustainable Engineering Education and Accreditation, iS2E2A 2024, it is my great respect to invite Associate Professor in Senior Technologies, Dr. Hajah Siti Nuraini Sulaiman, the Deputy Rector of Academic Affairs at University Technology Mara, Cawangan, Pulau Pinang, to deliver the closing speech. Please welcome.
Educators. Yang berbahagia, Profesor Dato' Insinyur Dr. Haji Ahmad Rashidi Razali, Rektor UiTM Penang Branch, Associate Professor Technologies Dr. K. Dora Abdul Ghani, Deputy Rector Research, Industry, Community and Alumni Network UiTM Penang Branch, Dr. Ahmad Asri bin Abdul Samad, Deputy Rector Student Affairs, UiTM Penang Branch, Technologist Dr. Suhaila Muhammad Noor, Chair for International Symposium on Sustainable Engineering, Education and Accreditation, iS2E2A 2024. Professor Insinyur Dr. Cik Maznah Mat Isa, the Symposium's Advisor, Technologist Dr. Muhammad Faizal bin Pakir Muhammad Latif, Head of Civil Engineering Studies, College of Engineering, UiTM Penang Branch. Dr. Haji Anas Ibrahim, former Head of Civil Engineering Studies. Additionally, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guests, Yang Berbahagia Profesor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias, Yang Berbahagia Profesor Dr. Hazman Shah, Yang Berusaha Insinyur Dr. Siti Hawa Hamzah, and I also would like to acknowledge all the Secretariat, committee members, participants, and esteemed guests who have contributed to the success of the International Symposium on Sustainable Engineering Education and Accreditation, iS2E2A 2024. As we come to the end of today's symposium, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone involved. Alhamdulillah, we are truly blessed to have completed this event smoothly and successfully. The insightful discussions, inspiring presentations, and active participation we witnessed today will undoubtedly shape the future of engineering education and accreditation. We have had the privilege to hear from distinguished speakers and panelists who have shared their invaluable knowledge and expertise. Your contribution have illuminated new way forwards as we work together to elevate the quality of teaching. We have had the privilege to hear from distinguished speakers and panelists who have shared their invaluable knowledge and expertise. Your contribution have illuminated new ways forward as we work together to elevate the quality of teaching, learning, and accreditation in engineering education. I am confident that each of you will leave here with fresh perspective and practical solutions that can be implemented at your institution. We have had the privilege to hear from distinguished speakers and panelists who have shared their invaluable knowledge and expertise. Your contribution have illuminated the new way forward as we work together to elevate the quality of teaching, learning, and accreditation in engineering education. I am confident that each of you will leave here with fresh perspective and practical solution that can be implemented at your institution. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to all our participants, especially those who travel from near and far to be with us today. Your dedication and enthusiasm have truly made this event a success. I would also like to thank Yang Berbahagia Profesor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias, Yang Berbahagia Profesor Dr. Hazman Shah, and Yang Berusaha Insinyur Dr. Siti Hawa Hamzah for their contributions as our keynote speakers and panelists. None of this would have been possible without the tireless effort of our symposium chairs, technologist Dr. Suhaila Muhammad Noor, and her dedicated organizing committee. Your hard work have been instrumental in making this symposium a success. To our technical teams, support staff, and volunteers, your behind-the-scene effort are deeply appreciated. As we conclude, I am pleased to announce that next year's symposium will be hosted by the Mechanical Engineering Studies College of Engineering. We look forward to the fresh insight and innovative ideas they will bring to the event, continuing the tradition of excellence we have established here. Finally, I encourage all of you to carry forward the knowledge and collaboration you have gained today. Let us use these insights to improve our educational practice and create better learning environment for our students. With that, I would like to officially declare the International Symposium on Sustainable Engineering, Education and Accreditation iS2E2A 2024 closed. Thank you once again for your participation, and I look forward to seeing all of you at iS2E2A 2025. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and goodbye.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor in Senior Technologies, Dr. Hajah Siti Noraini Sulaiman, for the inspiring closing speech. Ladies and gentlemen, that officially ends the International Symposium on Sustainable Engineering, Education and Accreditation iS2E2A 2024. We hope that the discussion, presentation and ideas exchange will bring on meaningful change in how we educate future engineers to lead the way in sustainability. Once again, thank you to all our speakers, panelists, participants and organizers for making this symposium a success. We hope to see you at future events. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. Before we end, let us take a moment to reflect and close this event with Surah Al-As and Tasbih Kafara. We will now leave you with a montage of highlights from our session, speakers and activity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.